Welcome to Toffee TV. It is
day 21.
It is 3 weeks
It is 3
since
weeks.
Carlo Ancelotti ran away.
Nice of Real Madrid to post pictures of him today. Back to work.
With the chaos that has followed. He's sitting in.
He's defo that meme of like just walking out and everything's on fire behind, isn't he?
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen.
Just
Leslie
like
Nielsen just walking. I mean, he looked
I
great.
looked a bit like Leslie.
He looked great, though. To be fair, he looked really.
The Madrid. I seen a picture of him in the pool the other day. So.
He looked like his time 3 weeks away from Everton had done him really good. I can't imagine
10 years younger.
Imagine what we'd look like with the.
Oh God, we got off to the Real Madrid fan TV or something. We'd look like Jedward or something. Incredible.
We look like twins.
We
we look like twins?
We look more like twins. Like
yeah, we'd
Arnie
look like
and Danny
Benito and Arnie, of course.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
It does look like Everton are nailing down on the Rafa Benitez stuff to finally prove that we are all essentially living in a simulator. And
the full Truman Show.
Yeah, and it is just one large prank on people who some people who were born within Liverpool. I think they just went round just going, yeah, you're in, you're not in.
No,
you look like you could take it. You look
maybe
like
it's the things just show we can take it.
Yeah,
the stronger
social
minded.
experiment.
Yeah,
it's a social experiment of just seeing. At the end of it, someone will go, yeah, we were just we were just seeing. You ever see that documentary about the three twins who were split up and put in different places to live to see how differently they grow up?
Yeah,
that's what this is essentially. They've took Liverpool fans and gone. People have gone. You can be a Liverpool fan. You get joy and happiness,
direction.
Everything will be great for you.
You get to laugh at your neighbours. Yeah.
And the other, let's see how you two people grow up as everything. You live in this. A lot of you will live, not all of you, but a lot of you will live in the same place. But let's just see how those two things affect your daily mood, your happiness, your relationships. Your just general everything.
They done this with Man City, but Man City broke out of it.
Yeah, Man City.
They found the door to get out.
Maybe their days ended. Maybe their experiment just ended.
I reckon ours will end
Maybe
soon.
what it was the Man City fans loved so much being the miserable people that it was like, these aren't playing along. No. Whereas we're just like fighting against it, and we're still in there. And so they think, well, give them more. Let's give them a rich owner. Tell them they're getting a new stadium, but everything will still be terrible. Thanks.
But just to go back to where you started, yeah, it does look like, it does appear, if you're listening to journalists who sometimes have the inside track, that Everton are pressing ahead with the Rafa Benitez stuff. That's how it seems anyway, doesn't it? Obviously we had something from TalkSport yesterday morning saying, Everton have moved away from him, but quite quickly that was basically put in the bin, that they hadn't. And it seems to be heading towards that conclusion, unless there's a change of heart, whether that's down to the fans or whether the owner, at some stage, the owners, at some stage, decided to not actually go through with it. But it seems like it's going to be Rafa Benitez.
Yeah, all the other names are melting away now, aren't they? There's very, very little links with other people. It does feel like everyone who's been considered has been spoken to. And now it is that process of elimination. And I suppose, from my point of view, I would think if everyone has been spoken to, who is going to be spoken to, and they believe Rafa Benitez is the strongest candidate, then what can you do?
Go with it.
It's whether they've spoken to, as I said, everyone who should be spoken to. The likes of Lucien Favre, who is apparently very close to Crystal Palace, may or may not have had some kind of contact from Everton.
Yeah.
But again, no, that's just still feels like
that's a panic grabbing.
Yeah, that still feels like someone's gone, oh, Lucien Favre, you know, switched on the news and gone, oh, Crystal Palace, that's not your manager here. We better. It doesn't feel like
he's
there's
been available as well.
Yeah.
He said him the first couple of days. Why not go after him? If you're looking for, you know what I mean? And now, 3 weeks later, when Palace seem like they're getting it done, Everton have gone, oh, should we just have a quick word with this fella? And it's just, it might not be, but it does feel like it's a bit of a mess. And, you know, have they spoken to everybody they wanted to? Have they spoken to Duncan Ferguson, who's at the club? Even just to sound out other managers and stuff, you know what I mean? Or have they, you know, are they doing these things?
After 3 weeks, you'd like to think.
Well, the Echo ran a poll, haven't they? The Echo ran a poll apparently and had a couple of questions on it regarding Rafa Benitez. Unsurprisingly, a lot of Evertonians were against it. Who you wanted, Christophe Galtier got the most in their poll, which I think it was 23%, and Duncan Ferguson was second with 21.8% on the vote, which is good, you know, quite high. Duncan's obviously gathered pace, I think, because more people are looking and going, actually, all those names don't inspire me yet. We've got that fella at the club who raised the roof and got results and loves the club and won't get off and all of that stuff. Other people don't want that, it seems. Other people want someone who might want to go the other way. Galtier's a weird one for me because he seemed like he's available. He hasn't gone anywhere at the moment. I know Nice are trying to get him, but I wonder if Everton, because one report said Everton had decided he's not the right candidate. I wonder why. And other reports have said he's waiting for Everton. So I wonder what's happened there, because if fans are behind that, and I'm not, listen, we've said, and I said it last week and I said it yesterday, you just said exactly the same thing. Just because us as fans see someone and go, oh, we want him, if they're doing this search and they identify 5 or 6 people, say, for argument's sake, and they speak to all of them, and he's the one who impresses the most and is on board with stuff and that, then if you've gone through the process of interviewing everybody, then give it to the fella who's impressed the most then. And have some convictions in your actions, do you know what I mean? Go, we have made this choice. We know that a good proportion of Evertonians don't agree with it, but we've done it for the good of the football club, and this is what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. If that is what's happened, to me, it still just feels very messy. Because if there was 4 names out there who we all knew and they were top managers, you could understand them going, oh, which one? We're umming and ahhing over it. But you look at that.
Or we were fighting someone else.
Or we were battling, we were in a fight with someone else who other clubs. Then you'd have to wait sometimes. But looking at the names that have been mentioned and looking just out your own head, who's out there and who we might be able to get. And the other things to think of as well. You know, I was talking to a couple of people who were in the game, who were like, some managers look at Everton and just go, nah, no chance.
Yeah,
it's unstable at the moment.
Yeah, because we've become a bit of a laughing stock. We've become, I've said this a couple of times, we've become what we used to ridicule of other clubs.
Yeah.
That, you know, there is no structure to it. There's no
stability.
There's no stability. There's managers will be looking at it, thinking, is it worth my while?
Well, we went from 1998 to 2016 with 3 managers, right? So if you're a manager in a club and you're confident in your own ability, you look and go, they've had 3 managers in 16 years. You get a chance there. Now if you're in a club, like I've been saying Graham Potter, right? Graham Potter, I am sure, is very safe at Brighton, doing his work. Now he looks at Everton and goes, they're a big club them, and they have money, great fan base, could get it right, it'd be great. And they're about to appoint the 6th manager in 5 years. Are you going to give up something where you feel you're doing your work to go to a flip of a coin?
And also with the players from 4 or 5 of those managers, and you know you've got a tough task ahead of you where you've got to deal with all that, come through it, and that without putting and then you've got to put your stamp on that.
Is that, you think, why then we're ending up
I mean, I don't think that's why we're ending up with them, but maybe that's where...
Well, no, but I don't even just mean
maybe
that
that's where...
I just mean why we're ending up with some of the list that we've got, because...
Well, of course we are. We are because off the pitch we are... Take this, whichever way you want, but we're a mess in terms of where we are in terms of buying players. In FFP, we are a mess. There's not. Someone can't come in and go, I want to get rid of him, and I want to bring in him, and him. Every decision will have to be made. Plays will be missed out on in terms of the timing of them, because if it comes at this time after we've sold this player, then yeah. But if we don't sell the player and then they go somewhere else, and that's where, at the moment, it all feels like a little bit, well, not a little bit, it feels a lot out of Everton's control at the moment in terms of bringing players in. And that's not ideal. If you're a manager and you're in either the prime of your career or you're taking that big first step up like Graham Potter, you want to get that right. You don't want to go into a club that is not going to allow you to do the things you want to do for maybe a couple of seasons, and you've got to ride through those couple of seasons, and there's
stay in a
job. There's absolutely, this is what, I put a tweet out last night talking about the idea of just getting some stability into till the stadium's built, and I think I mentioned this yesterday. And that's not an ideal situation, but that's what Carlo Ancelotti was going to bring. The difference was when Carlo Ancelotti was going to do it, he was going to do it with that name. I'm Carlo Ancelotti. I don't know how much would have been really radical in those 3 years. I don't know. I really don't think it would have gone like people would have expected it. I think in 3 years people were expecting us to be, amongst the top 6 every season and be part of that pack. I don't necessarily think that was going to happen at all. I think he was just going to be a Hollywood style manager doing a very down to earth job. Oh yeah, I honestly feel like he was a really good pair of hands, but I don't think it was ever going to get to I don't personally think it was ever going to get to the stage where he was going to have us as a regular top 6 team. I just don't believe that, because I just think there's no, I don't think there's enough turnaround in the club till we get in that stadium. I really don't. And as I've explained before, I've said, I'm not expecting fireworks when we get into that stadium. I'm not expecting us to become one of the big clubs. What I'm looking at is that suddenly the balance sheet will be cleaned up a hell of a lot when people start using the stadium. And Rafa Benitez might just be the next best thing to it. The difference is he isn't, for us, that name, Carlo Ancelotti comes to Real Madrid. That explains it all. That says it all. But in Rafa Benitez, what I think the people at the club might look at is he is that kind of safe bet. Ride it out, play the game, play the tune of what the owners want. With a bit of pushback, of course, now and again. But we'll just get on with it, because actually, to him, this is a perfect job. This is the perfect job next to the other perfect job. Well, he's past that now. He ain't ever going to be the manager of that football club anymore. He's done that. This is the second best of that. Maybe the third best after champion. But this is the second best. And when you weigh all that up, for people running the club, that might make a lot of sense. To fans, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because fans want and demand success in the club to go forward.
See, I slightly disagree, because I don't think it's very difficult to finish in the top 6 in this country.
Well, we tend to find it very difficult.
We do, because we'd make wrong decisions. But I think under Ancelotti, I think Everton would have got in Europe this season, 100%. Because I think if you start turning your squad around into players who... I'm saying that with the caveat that we actually bought some pace this summer. If we don't buy pace this summer, then I'd be with you going, here we go again, mid-table. I think he can get Everton into Europe, because I think tactically he's the same as Ancelotti. And I think with better players, I've mentioned, I speak to a couple of Geordies who love him and tell me that I mustn't have seen it, but they watched them tell me that they played really good football in the last season. He was five attackers, 5 defenders. Yeah. And Paul Machin said something very similar with what he'd done at Liverpool and stuff, 5 and 5, right? Yeah.
But we say these things about Moyes, though.
No, I know. So, I know. But and I'm not. Listen, this isn't in any way me defending him, by the way. I'm just going what other people who like him have said to me when I've gone, I don't like that kind of football. I want to see it. And I like, but I guess we just had Carlo Ancelotti, and it was some of the worst football I've ever seen Everton play. And I've seen Everton play some terrible football in my career.
The irony is, though, the pressure for him, if he is to become the manager, to finish in European positions, will actually be higher than a Carlo Ancelotti. Because Everton never...
He's got to prove us.
Yeah.
Some fans he will never win over Everton.
Well, exactly.
Ever. But he's got to... There'll be a middle one where it's like, well, let's just see what he does. Because if he won Everton an FA Cup, right, surely people would... You'd have to respect them. Whether you like them is a different thing.
If he won Everton an FA Cup, people would laud them.
No, but that's what I'm saying. No, I'm saying you have to... There's a respect you've got to earn. For me... He wouldn't be my choice as Everton manager because, and again I've said this and I'll reiterate it, it's not even the Liverpool thing for me.
No.
It's not the jibe, it's not the whatever he was manager of them, because I would take Rodgers and I'd take Klopp because they're two managers at the very top of their game. Even if he was an attacking coach, I'd be more enthused, right? But he's obviously, I remember at Chelsea, and I remember having a bit of respect for him at Chelsea, thinking, oh my God, he has got balls of steel. He's gone in where they hated him because they hate Liverpool. They hated him and all of that. And yet he somehow took them from 16th, got them 3rd and won a cup with them.
Well, well, we spoke about this in the last few years. Something we've said quite a lot on the show is a football player job is 7 days a week, and really only for 2 days of those week, normally 1 day of that week, they actually kick a ball around against an opposition.
That means something. Yeah.
So the rest of the week, you're still training, you're still doing your job. That's your job.
You're focusing. Yeah.
For him, if he was to become Everton manager, and we've seen already because there is proof with him going to Chelsea, really he only has to face that crowd once every 2 weeks. Okay, you've got the away fans as well, but you know I think going into Finch Farm and doing what you have to do, and at the end of the day, he's the manager. There's going to be people underneath him. They've got to respect him because he's the manager. I can't imagine it be too daunting for him, because this is a fella who's lived on Merseyside for a long time, has been to many events that have had Evertonians there. It's not like you can't walk down the street in Liverpool now and Evertonians are going to give him abuse. And the irony is, what we're saying is that if he become the Everton manager, that could come into it. And I find that really interesting, because
what I think is, and I don't know whether you'll agree, but when we come out against Southampton, he's the manager, people are going to boo, because I remember I'll admit, it wasn't quite at the level what's going on at the moment. But when we got Sam Allardyce, people were fuming.
Yeah.
People I know, my good mates of mine, who were just like, this is the worst day in our history, it's a stain, blah, blah, blah. Well, I was there against Huddersfield when he come on, and most people give him, I wouldn't say standing ovation, they clapped him when he was announced as the new Everton manager. They clapped him, they got behind him. And it was only when he started playing the divvy towards the end that people then start going against him, right? Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute Southampton are on day one, he comes out and everyone's singing his name and all that. But when you're in that ground, don't forget, if we're in that stadium, 40,000 or 37,000 of us back in, when we haven't been there for a long time, we're going to be made up to be back at the match. We're going to be seeing the team who we allegedly support, don't we? Don't we go to match to support this team? Well, that team will all have the blue on. We'll want to win. So, I know it's not the same as looking at the touchline going, oh my God, I love that manager. And this is the thing with when people talk about Dunk, and Duncan's name's mentioned, and you see people on Twitter or on social media going, I don't want him, he'd get us relegated or he'd do this. And you're like, when he comes out day one, if he's in the suit, you're just going to be behind him like we all were. And there's no thing you can't say he's going to do this or that. He lifted the roof, he raised the roof, and it was great. But ultimately, you're supporting the team, aren't you? Yeah. So what I did with Sam Allardyce was I kind of just blocked him out as the manager.
Don't forget with Sammy Lee in the dugout as well.
And I'll be honest, I was made up with Sammy Lee when he was on that touchline for the simple reason that he hates referees, and I was all over that. And the fact that he actually looked like he cared. Do you know what I mean? He was there giving it all that and all, you know. So I kind of just looked past that. But Allardyce, I just kind of blared. I done that thing as if he was like, you know, on the police ring thing and he wanted to change his voice and pixelate him. He was just in the background because I'm an Evertonian and I want my team to win. And therefore, and the other thing as well is if he's appointed Everton manager, the club will be very smart to very quickly sign a player as well. Get him next to contract Dave.
Maybe that's what they're waiting for.
Get him next to contract Dave and go, right, we're up and running. This is what we want to do this season. Got a manager, he's in place, and we've got this new player, and we're going to do this. And one thing I've read about him, because you have to, and we have to, is a lot of the players like him who play for him.
They don't hold the baggage, do they? At the end of the day, I mean, at the end of the day, something that's been put out is that he makes players better. He's a good coach. Something I think we've missed for a while. He's a good coach and he knows what he wants. And yeah, players don't carry the baggage of what fans do. So if he comes in, don't forget.
Would he command respect?
Of course he would.
When you come in?
Of course he would.
That's what I'm asking you.
Of course he would. Players don't carry the baggage of you know, you've just had a manager like Carlo Ancelotti who also demands respect. And last season we seen what the away performance is like. I think footballers would love to play in this free-flowing attack, you know, and it, you know, playing all the passes and fast, exciting football. But they also just want to win, and they want to find ways to win. And also, if you do something on the training ground all week and you've worked hard at it, and on a Saturday you put it into practice and it comes off, there's a massive satisfaction in that. In anything you do. If you work all week hard for something, you get your reward at the end of the week, which is what effectively the game is. You take massive satisfaction in that. Just on that, like what you were saying there, and we all want to see fast attacking football and all that. But are we getting to the stage now where, as Evertonians, I don't want to speak for everyone, I'm just talking just in general, where isn't it about time we actually got some results and like won and finished higher up? So would you sacrifice a little bit of that? Well, a little bit of that. I mean, have we really seen any fast attacking football for years? So does it matter? But we want results, don't we? There's nothing attacking better. Football under Martinez. Yeah. Attacking football for 2 years in a row. Got 11 twice because he couldn't defend. And if he implemented the basic principles of defending, we would have been fine. So is it a case of should we just really be looking at results more now then as fans for now? I think you can't build anything while you're losing your manager every 18 months. You just can't. You've got again more mix of players now. Okay, I'm really hoping that going forward, it's Brands is in control of sorting that out. That's what we were hoping for this summer. It's starting to see the Brands, you know, his fingerprints on everything, and him starting to sort that out, and maybe that will help, you know, going forward. Can he do that? He's got to do that. If he is the manager, he is in no position to say to a football club, I want everything like what I want it, because everyone just go, well, we're going to give it to him then. That's what I mean. So in these negotiations, you'd hope that if that's the plan, that Everton would turn around and go, listen, if you're going to take this job, this is the conditions that we work in now. And, you know, I know Everton got him on the hook. It's not the other way around. Everton have got him on the hook. It's not, you know, we're not dancing to his tune if he is going to be the manager. Yeah. Carlo was completely different. Yeah. You know, one of the biggest names in the world, just come out of a job. you know, it's yes sir, please sir, no sir with someone like that. With this fella, I'm sorry, but he dances to our tune. And maybe
so really, we need to be saying that then, don't we, Dad?
I'm sure they are, aren't they? He's your director of football. You can go, this is how we work. But ultimately, this is what the plan is. If there's a plan, of course. It's, you know, but I actually think about Marcel Brands is, right? Whatever anyone feels about him, right? I do genuinely believe there's a plan. Whether it's how you implement the plan and whether the plan always comes off is the thing. But I do genuinely believe there's a plan with Marcel Brands. You're not telling me a fella who's as precise and sharp as he comes across hasn't got a plan and is just throwing things at the wall. You don't get to a position like, you know, and have a career like he is without doing that. Yeah. It doesn't work. Plans don't always work, but it's about if you've got a plan, then at least you've got a framework to stay within.
See, I think hit that like button if you're watching as well, by the way. I think with him, if Everton can turn around and go, and don't forget Marcel Brands worked with Louis van Gaal at AZ Alkmaar and they ended up winning the league. You know, when it wasn't working at the start and Van Gaal was wanted to leave it and Brands convinced him to stay. And when people look back, they go, he wasn't really what you'd think of the manager who would work with Brands, but they worked together, experienced, they worked together really well. Marcel Brands, for all we know, Marcel Brands is fully behind this appointment. For all we know, don't we? We don't. To us on face value,
they live in the same area.
For us on face value, we might be looking at it and go, no, Brands wants Graham Potter because it's been said he likes Graham Potter. But Marcel Brands might like Graham Potter, but he might also like Rafa Benitez and go, now if Marcel Brands goes, well, listen, we're buying now 20 to 26-year-olds because this football club I'm sure he would know that that's the plan going in. And if that is the plan and we can start getting those players, then it comes down to him to coach those players into some kind of formation or whatever. And the other thing as well, and I put this out the other day, is that no matter who we sign as a manager, we bring in as a manager, we need new players. It doesn't matter who it is. Ultimately, it falls on the players. The players go across the way. I said this to you last week or the week before, talking about Graham Potter. I'd watched Gus Poyet and Jamie Carragher talking about Graham Potter and talking about the way Brighton play and all these chances they create. And Poyet was like, whether you think anything of him or not, but he has been a Brighton manager in the past, and he was like, you can plan all week, you can do everything all week, and you can get it perfect. Well, once they run out on the Saturday and play the game, their strikers are missing opportunities, or your defenders are going to sleep and people are running in behind and conceding. You know, your plans are going to fall away. So ultimately, if it's him or if it's Nuno Espirito Santo or whatever, we're going to need new players. If it was Pep Guardiola, we would need new players. So if Marcel Brands does have that grip, and I'd like to think where Brands is concerned, this summer was his out. His contract was coming to the end. If he genuinely wasn't on board with the way things are going, and I would like to think also if I was Brands and my contract was coming to the end and the club was saying, we'd actually like you to stay, that I'd be saying, well, you know, if I stay, I actually want more control doing this and doing that, if he wasn't in control anyway. So if that's the case, then you have to feel like he'll have wrestled a little bit more control for himself, and therefore, with a Benitez or whatever, he would still want to recruit players, because we were told that that was part of what his job was, surely.
Yeah, because ultimately, I would imagine someone like any manager who starts getting to the latter stages of his career would be wanting as much help as he possibly could in terms of doing that. You want to do the things you want to do, which is coaching, being on the training pitch and doing all that kind of thing, which is what those fellas live for. The other side of things, negotiations, and you can be part of the process of getting players. But you know, we've been linked with a couple of players so far this summer. It'd be great to get them both done. Well, we haven't got a manager, so what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to wait till the manager comes, and then go through that process of what you need, and go through weeks of pre-season and deciding who's coming in and who's going out. You know, that can't happen. And no, of course, maybe after 2 years or 3 years of having a manager, that process becomes easy because there is players and he wants players in. But at the moment, that just can't. We can't be waiting around for a manager to bring players in. It doesn't. Of course, you might bring those players in after you appoint a manager, and then it looks better from the outside. It looks like you're part of the process. But ultimately, it's like everything else, isn't it? The manager will inherit players. He's not going to turn around and go, "I don't want Ben Godfrey. I never signed Ben Godfrey. I don't want Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I never signed Dominic Calvert-Lewin." But so it'd be the same with bringing a couple of new players in.
For him coming into this now, when he went in at Newcastle, a lot of the stuff was getting said that it was a championship side, basically. They were on the way down in the Premier League. He come and he couldn't save them. They went down. They got up, scoring X amount of goals, and they were dead entertaining, apparently, in the championship. I didn't watch them, so I can only go by what's been said. But they were still a championship side, and he come up. And he did spend some money at Newcastle, by the way. But if you're starting from a low base,
you're fighting to get all the time, aren't you?
So is there an argument to say that he's inheriting some good players in Everton's squad? Because there is good players in Everton's squad.
There is good players. It's more the players that are. It's more the players that don't fit into one particular style. That's the issue, isn't it? With us, it's the lack of pace. It's the lack of any attacking ability on the right-hand side.
That is a concern,
that's the problem. Defensively, we look set up to cope.
I think he'd be quite happy with that defense.
I think maybe you'll want
a right back.
So I think there's definitely things to do, another midfielder and that kind of thing. But I think if it is him, I don't think it's the worst set of players in the world. It just doesn't have a balance.
Let me ask you this. I want to read some of the comments in a minute because we've got over 1,000 people watching at the moment, so I'll get through some of your comments in a minute. Is the switch from Carlo? Is this another thing where I'm giving people more credit, I think, than probably they deserve. But is the switch from Carlo Ancelotti to him that great then? And do you think that's why he's a consideration?
It's not, because I'm looking at this completely. If I was looking at this, and I am sort of feeling this way at the moment. If I was looking at this as a neutral, and I'm definitely looking at it with no emotion.
No, I know you.
I guarantee you that. They are very similar managers. They've got very, very similar. They've won Champions League. They've managed big clubs. They've destroyed big clubs. They've both managed Real Madrid. One loved James, one didn't. But they were both on the downward trajectory when they came to Everton. Don't forget, Carlo Ancelotti had been sacked by Napoli. When we got him, right?
Bayern.
Been sacked by Bayern. There'd been a lot of things said about him at Bayern by players.
Well, what I would say, I haven't heard that said about him.
And don't
get all the other stuff
don't get me wrong, I'm not revising history. I really like Carlo, but he's left us in a bit of a mess. But this fella's probably about, even though they're similar ages, this fella's probably about 5 years further down the line than where Carlo was. And that's been proved by Carlo going back to Real Madrid. So, because he was at Newcastle and because he went to China.
He did win at Napoli and Carlo didn't.
No, and because he's had a year out the game, people feel like he's completely done. I do feel like we spoke yesterday about those comments that Guillaume Ballingay said, and I find them fascinating, those comments. I do feel like it was the wrong tone. I do feel he got it wrong.
He was protecting his mate.
Like I know, but you can't. You can't change people. Honestly, I guarantee you, I've got evidence of this. You can't change people's minds on anything by calling them dickheads at the same time. You just can't. It works.
Why would they?
It works.
Once you attack them, why are they going to listen to you? Why are you going to listen?
Guillaume Ballingay's points, what he was saying, were really interesting. He was basically saying everything Evertonians been asking for, this fella's got in spades. But that you've got to come over to our side a little bit. You've got to understand the mindset of us a little bit. And if you can't do that, I see it every day. I've got mates who are Reds, got Reds here, and they come in and they go, why wouldn't you want them? And they can't grasp our mindset. Because it is what it is, isn't it? It's been, when you're hammered as much as we are from different angles, and then you're asking someone to come in and be the manager who's been one of those people who's hammered you, how can you get on board with that? It's very, very difficult. I mean, you mentioned Sam Allardyce. Sam Allardyce come in and he had, it was like, it was so, there were everyone else's issues when he come to us. It was a stain on us because it was like, I don't know. It's like if you have to call out the the pest control to your house. It's embarrassing, isn't it? You've got to do it, but it's embarrassing. You've got to get it done. But no, that's the same. It is though, isn't it? Yeah. It's like it's not your fault, but it's embarrassing.
If your kid gets nicked,
it's not your fault.
Yeah. Iwobi's okay.
So Iwobi is.
Let's get some of these,
okay.
and we'll come back to the thing. Richard Morris says Big Dunk is the man. Someone had mentioned Martinez and Ford 99 says Martinez has no plan B and can't defend. Ozzy Dillon says, oh my God, I feel weird with this. I'm not happy or angry, but I do feel dirty. Delamere Bear says, fine, I'll take Rafa or Potter over Dunk then if it means we actually have a manager for the new season. Liam Haffenden says there's taking time, but this has been an absolute circus, boys. I don't think we're defending the fact how long it's taken, are we? Cripps says the safest option is cowardice by the board. Alex K says look at Rafa's CV compared to the other candidates, and it's obvious why Mashiri wants him. Toffee Girl says no one else wants the job. We're lucky he wants it, really. That's how much of a shambles the whole club has been. Adam Brooks says, keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. And RCO2 says, Rafa is always hungry for more success and he always makes his team overachieve. That's one thing I've seen that team. I mean, he won the Champions League with a club, with a team that had no right to win the Champions League. It was shocking. And somehow and some of the teams, I know they was very lucky in that, but I'd rather have a lucky manager than a good manager, I think, at times. Stuart Davis says, let's say it is what it is. No point having a stadium more than 60,000 with safe standing if we're not going to be there. Raymond 878 says he did such a good job at Newcastle. The only problem is how the fans will respond. But do you, like I said before, when you get in the ground, do you think like half Evertonians in that ground, so like 19,000 of us on day one are going to be booing him? Because I don't. Because that's detrimental to the football team.
I don't. I think, obviously, if he is appointed as the Everton manager, there's a PR situation straight away for Everton Football Club, and it's how they deal with it.
Yeah, I think that they have to get the PR going immediately.
They have to be really clever how they deal with it. Obviously, don't go over the top. If he is appointed, keep it understated, and
sell his vision.
Sorry, I'm just distracted by literally Paul Machin just laughing through the window. Through the window.
I don't think he's laughing.
Terrible.
I don't think he's laughing at
that. What's worse is I've actually got a present for you as well, and you're laughing through the window. I've actually got a present for you.
And he said, I've got a present for you.
Oh, well, there you go then. There you go.
We'll actually do a video with Paul about Rafa Benitez. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, here you got your presents.
Oh, outstanding.
Live TV.
What's he got here? It's Marvel.
It's not a Rafa Benitez.
All love. It's all love. See, it's all love. It's all love.
Dalsvik says, Baz iPads, you guys are a constant point in our lives, the Alpha and the Omega. Chris Johnson says, Rafa's won with no money in Spain compared to Barca and Madrid. Don't care about the small clubs saying, get over it. Scott Howard said, people are forgetting he won the European Cup with a bang average Liverpool side. Also broke the stranglehold of Real and Barca in La Liga.
Yeah, before he came, yeah.
RCO2 says people want a good tactician, someone who cares about the fans and someone who can get us places. Rafa is all of that. Maggots Rana says a lot of love for Rafa at Newcastle, but his football was dross. Okay.
Do you think, let me ask you this then, tell you what, right, let me ask you this. No, the small club thing, right? Do you think that if he was appointed, I'll keep on saying that, he's come out since and said, I wasn't saying you were a small club, I was saying, take this however you want, but he was saying, it was like that team was like small mentality by playing 10 men behind the ball, blah, blah, blah. Do you think then straight away, as an Evertonian, you can go, well, come on then, Rafa, you're our manager. There's nothing we can do about that. Show us some attractive football then. Don't put 10 men behind the ball. Come on, show us some attractive football. And that's actually the stick to beat them with then, of like, you said that about our club. Come on then.
When you were at a club that was...
Yeah, so come on then, do that.
I think that's a fair statement. And I think, I wonder who... I would like to think if he's appointed that Duncan Ferguson will still be involved there. I'd like to think that Everton will be clever and put... I've heard a couple of names who might be in and around them. So therefore...
Waggy.
No.
Okay.
But Cale's one who's been mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that'll happen or it won't, but I think that kind of thing softens the blow around them. But also, I think if you had Ferguson, you had Cale there, they are also... not fresh as in they were playing for us a couple of years ago, but they know what kind of football Evertonians like. And I've said this before, when Everton play away, I don't care if we play defensively and we do what we did last season. I honestly don't care. We can go and put 11 men behind the ball at every away ground and nick games won. I'm not bothered. But at Goodison, I want to be on the edge of my seat. And that'll be a balance that he has to somehow strike. But you're absolutely right. You can't sit there and bemoan a club coming and putting everyone behind the ball, and then you become that person that does that, regardless of who the opposition is. And people are absolutely right. In Spain, he broke up Real Madrid and Barcelona. He broke that up with Valencia. Valencia were fantastic under him. How many teams, bar Manchester City, really play all fast-flowing attacking football? Liverpool play it at times, don't get me wrong, but other times they sit in and suck you in, and then they go bang, 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 and you're behind. And then you get United. I've seen United do it. That's why United was so good away from home last season.
Do you know who's a defensive team?
France, yeah. Who have got unbelievable footballers.
Counter-attacking football.
Germany, unbelievable.
Counter-attacking.
Even, I was watching Belgium last night, and they were talking...
No, sorry, you've lost me. Sorry,
okay.
You're not telling me Belgium were defensive.
No, they weren't defensive, but they were counter-attacking. Yeah. And if you have good players, you can be very, very effective on the counter-attack. And I guess maybe where I've been critical of him with the Newcastle stuff, maybe he just didn't have the players to play a bit more expansive. I'm not saying he'd come in and we'd all love it, but who knows. Let's do a few of these. Adam Flynn says, I think Rafa will need bodyguards if he gets the job. I don't think
it's that bad.
I'm not sure. Where are we? Fear and Wave says another payday manager. Okay.
See, one thing I would say is I don't think he would be coming to Everton for the money if he is appointed as Everton manager. I don't think he's coming for the cash. I really don't. I think at a stage of his career, whether this makes it even any better, I think for him, Everton's actually the club that suits him most. For him, not for us, maybe.
Yeah.
But for him,
I think I think the players are going to be key to this. Who we get anyway, we've got to get new players. End of story. Fast Eddie 82 says Duncan did a great job when he was in charge. Fans were all buzzing and behind him. The players played for him. That's for sure. That's it though, isn't it? So why haven't he given it to Duncan? Why haven't he gone, right, okay, when you were in charge, the fans wanted you. The players ran and tackled more than they had done in X amount of years. You beat you beat Chelsea, you were on a good run, you were unbeaten in them games, and we want a young coach. We tried every other thing, and it hasn't worked. Why do you think they haven't given it to him? Is it experience or?
Yeah, I think just don't think at this moment they obviously feel like he's got the experience or got the name to carry us forward for what they want. And I he's a gamble. I think as well. You think he's a gamble. I don't think that's what they want at this stage. I keep on mentioning the stadium. Stadium's one of the most pivotal things, not only in Everton's modern history, but also for this ownership group as well, because the club's value will only go up, and if they are looking to exit the club,
maybe
the value will go up. But that's all you need to know.
Crip says Baz and Ped are ignoring comments because they know the fans aren't having this safe bet spin. There's 1,100 people watching, mate. So
there is a safe bet. I mean, I don't know how. I'm not. This is not spin. This is just me putting it forward. I don't feel any better about that, because that just means 3 years of doing nothing. Which as a fan doesn't really get me excited. But I do believe that's what it is. Simple as that.
Chris Johnson says, I love Big Duncan, but he won't get players doing anything special. Who will, though? This is the thing. Who will? That's the thing. We've said before. I don't think neither of us have sat here going, Rafa Benitez is the right man. Neither of us have said it. I'd be quite happy if Everton come out today and appoint someone else, depending on who that is. But you've got to look at the whole thing, and what we're trying to do is understand why they've got to this stage where they think Rafa Benitez is the right man, when the fans have come out and said in big numbers they don't want him. Yeah. So if you keep coming out going, we done a poll that had 6,500 people do it, and 70% said they didn't want him. So for Everton to still continue to go against that,
the thing is, right,
what can you do?
If he's appointed, people can do what they want to do. You want to stop going to match, stop going to match. You want to stop buying merchandise, stop buying merchandise. Do whatever you need to do. It won't stop me going to match.
No.
Number one, I've been watching Everton for years, and I've watched the good and the bad. And it's not going to stop me going to a match. It's my team. So not one individual being the manager isn't going to stop me going to a match.
No.
People can do what they want.
It just doesn't. I think it doesn't. For me, it just doesn't. It enthuse me. It doesn't excite me.
It's not even him. It's the idea of. It's more the idea of when it's clear that the appointment is not based on anything in terms of going out in there and wanting to put the best. If I was Everton, if I was really serious, right, I would be knocking on Leicester's door, and I would be going to Brendan Rodgers. We've just give that fella £11 million a year. That's yours if you come here. If he doesn't want it, he probably wouldn't want it. But I'd go and do it. I've said this about players. You're going to act like Billy Big Bollocks, right? Then go to the best players in the world and offer them contracts. If you're not, shut up and play the game. Right? We're great at talking. We've got people at the club who are great at talking about this and that and not being a museum. When did he ever show their hand and go, this is what we're going to do? If you're going to do it, go and try and get the best exciting young managers out there to come and, that are proving it at the moment.
Why aren't they? Why aren't you? Could Gallardo at River Plate, up and come, 45, good age, up and coming manager. Bloody played a midfielder in goal the other week and still won because his team worked that hard. He's up and coming. Why not go and get him in and excite people and go, you know what, this is what we're doing. Graham Potter, all right, but he's got Premier League experience now, 2 years of it, so why not give him a go? Why not go after Gaultier, who's available as well and just won a league? Why not? You're going through managers. There's managers in Germany, Adi Hutter, why not go and try and get one of them? Or there's managers around, but Everton don't seem to think outside the box. Or it seems like to me, reading between the lines, the owners just go for people you've heard of. It's like that thing of going, oh, we need a winger, oh, Wilf Zaha, because he's in the Premier League and we've heard of him, rather than going and getting Moussa Diaby at Leverkusen, who they mightn't have heard of, do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's how it seems, and that's how, for me, we've ended up with Rafa Benitez. And that worries me in one way. I know what you're saying, and if it's your money and you're going, well, I want us to be stable, and this fella will probably get us into Europe if we back him a bit, and he knows that he's got the experience. I can see that, but as a fan, it doesn't excite me. It doesn't make me go, oh, I can't wait for the new season. It just makes me go, feel uncomfortable. But at some stage, I'm still going to match. I've renewed my season ticket. I've renewed Zach's season ticket. We're still going to match. We still want the match under holidays. So it is what it is, but it's just not very exciting, and I think that's the thing. And I think when Ancelotti left, I wasn't that bothered because of the football, but I thought, all right, well, he's made his decision. He hasn't left Everton and gone to Crystal Palace, gone to Real Madrid, so it makes it a bit easier. But also I thought, this is the chance now for a reset then almost. This is a chance to almost reinvent the club and go, we're getting a hungry, young, exciting manager in, and we're going to do this and play this kind of football. And we just seem to have ended up where we probably could have ended up the day after Ancelotti went. Yeah. And that annoys me more than I think anything. Brian Owen says Martinez was the most attacking football I've seen 20 years watching Everton, but also, got to say, it was the worst defence I've ever seen. Adam Flynn says Brian Owens, 100%. The only reason he had the great first season, though, was because we had David Moyes. Jay Dunn says Everton, your patience is required. Ronaldo Vicini says Benitez is a great appointment. If Everton fans think just about the club and not about the surroundings. Adam Brooks says Martinez 3 years, Koeman 16 months, Allardyce 6 months, Silva 18 months, Carlo left after 18 months. This stupid cycle has to stop and give this manager time, and let's be patient. It is difficult though, isn't it? It's difficult when the cycle is like that, because you are chopping and changing. It's it's mad. Great Outdoors says we're in the hunt for a manager, not any manager, but Rafa. John Jones says Brands has a plan, but Machiri has another one, so he's being frustrated. I mean, it could well be that, couldn't it? But then if you were Marcel Brands and you weren't being listened to, why would you stay? Because I honestly think if he left, he'd be able to get a job somewhere else. So why, if you definitely weren't being listened to, then why would you stay? Because I'd want to go if it was me. If I was saying, I think we should do this, and other people were going, nah, we're doing this, when it was supposed to be my job, then what's the point? Because how can you be held accountable for it? I don't think so. Yeah, people just having a pop at each other in the comments. Matt Fredrickson says take Mancini after Italy won the Euros. Mancini? What about
after
that?
They won the Euros?
But then we'd be the 11th of July. Could though, couldn't he? I mean, they've looked good. Ronaldo then says Everton fans now should look sideways. The fight is again against themselves and not against others.
Okay.
No, I mean, like, obviously people are arguing with each other, aren't they, over the same thing. Doug UK says we have to move on. Hate to lead away at us. If we don't do that. Declan says hit the like button, please, lads. Lee McCann says should we welcome Benitez as he's disrespected us in the past. I don't think we should. I mean, he will be welcomed, won't he? Because that's what happens. But yeah. I understand why people don't want him. I don't want him. It's the reality, really. He's not one who had gone, I hope we get Rafa Benitez, because that's really not what I'm thinking. But it looks like he's going to be appointed. So you'd have to make your peace with it, because what could we do? Do you know what I mean? What can we do? We can put bed sheets outside and argue and moan, but it looks like they're still going to make that decision anyway. Zidane only done what he done because he had world-class players. Paul McGovern says, no point looking for a headline manager with the squad we have. Steve Hansford said, there are plenty of young, hungry managers in Europe. Like Ped said, knock on their door and ask. It's right, isn't it? It's like anything. It's a big world out there, isn't it? But if Everton aren't going to go and ask, then what can we do? JC says Everton should be all over Conte.
It's not going to happen. You know, they should be, but it ain't going to happen. His demands are ridiculous, and Everton simply can't match them at the moment. So, but listen, like you just said there are managers out there that, you know, there's managers available, or you can make them available. You know, there's managers who are at good clubs who are ready to take that next step. Can you sell them the dream of making that next step? That's the thing, isn't it? You know, you've mentioned, you know, there's the likes of Potter in this country who will eventually get, if he keeps going the way he's going, regardless of what you think of Brighton or where they finish. That's only, you know, that's only because of the players he's got available to him. What he does on the pitches is all the proof is there that it's good. You mentioned there's others out there, but if you're not willing to do the hard work, if you're not willing to identify these managers before you need them and say, oof, he's a good one there, keep that in the back pocket for maybe when it needs to come, which other clubs seem to be doing. We just seem to be a very lazy football club.
Cripps has just said, why the Palace interview manager and then Everton go, well, should we try and get him? So what we said before, it does seem like things are just on the... are on, you know, look at that over there, what have they got? Oh yeah, let's try and get, instead of knowing that and planning ahead. They've had 3 weeks.
Money makes you lazy, clearly, because we're a football club that used to do these kind of things. We used to have to do the homework because we had to get in there ahead of other clubs. You know, because money was tight and you have to make the right decisions. You have to go through the process. Money clearly makes you lazy. It makes you think that you can cut through it all and just do what you want and throw it at people. And yet, we've got money, and yet we don't even go looking for... I don't think there are obvious... I think there's obvious candidates out there that you could even just attempt to get. But we don't even do that. So it's a very strange process that they seem to use.
Jay Warbrick says, Ped looks dejected. The look of me and thousands and thousands of Evertonians.
I'm to be honest, I'm really just worried about the football club. I don't think it's got a soul anymore. I really don't. I just think that through lots and lots of little bad decisions, it's death by 1,000 cuts. It really is, and I don't think the owner knows his arse from his elbow when it comes to running a football club. I really don't. And yet, he's not allowing the people or the person. I don't think there's enough strong characters on the board. I think there's people on the board who are happy to be there, namely Bill Kenwright and Denise Barrett-Baxendale. I've been very open about that. I don't think they're strong enough to push back.
Yeah.
They're just happy to have jobs or happy to be associated with Everton Football Club, which can happen, of course it can happen. You get given the opportunity to do something you love at a place you love, you're not going to push back, or you just go, oh, there's no point. Everton is just lacking character all over it, and I simply feel like in the last 5-6 years it's lost its soul. I really do, and it makes you wonder why you do it. It makes you wonder why you continue to do it to yourself. It makes you wonder whether you can generate that passion once you start going again. It's dead easy to go away the fans, but once you almost feel like you've crossed over from being a fan to a customer, then what's the point? And at the moment, I feel like I am a bit of a customer because I don't feel like I've got any power. And even if that power is not actually real power, even if it's fake power created in your own head or created by the illusion of other supporters around you every 2 weeks or away games or everything, maybe it's because in the pandemic we haven't been at the game and it does feel like a TV sport, I just feel like we've lost our soul. I genuinely do, and I just don't feel as connected to Everton as I have done in the past. And maybe that will change once we get back in the ground. But the circumstances of going in the ground with a manager that most of the fan base don't like is going to make it really, really hard, and that's only going to lead to one thing. It's going to lead to
first bad spell. The intensity is just going to go.
Well, of course, it's going to lead, and it's going to lead to more change and more change. And if you keep on cutting in football, there is only one outcome, and that is the club to fail. And obviously, in football, that means being relegated. And I'm not necessarily saying that will happen, but we've seen it. It can happen, you know. And even if it doesn't, it means you're just bumbling along, which we have been anyway. But I think for a while we've had this illusion that we were on the up, and clearly we're not on the up. Clearly we are just a tool for a billionaire to throw around, and it worries me. It worries me, because for all the good things the fella's brought to the club, and hopefully one of them will be, you know, a stadium. It just feel. The irony is, I don't even think he's done it. I know he hasn't done it on purpose. I do feel like he's tried to stay within the parameters of what Everton Football Club is, but somehow he's thrown outside the lines, and he's just getting further and further and further.
I honestly don't think there's anyone on that board who advises him. I don't think there's anyone on the board.
The Evertonians on there haven't got the bollocks to do anything.
I don't think there's people on there who will say no to him, because he's and it's difficult to say no to billionaires because they're used to getting their own way. But I honestly don't think there's anybody who will turn around and go, this is a non-starter. Rafa Benitez is a non-starter, because what you've just, no one, it doesn't appear that anybody has painted the scenario to him that Evertonians are wounded because Carlo Ancelotti's gone. So you've got to try and get them back. They're asking questions. Why? Why is Carlo Ancelotti gone? Where's the money to back him? You know, and we all said when he come in, he's come for a reason. Why is he coming in? Now, did he just come for an easy payday? Maybe he did. He didn't ever portray it that he came for an easy payday, but maybe he did come for an easy payday. But a lot of us hoped that he'd come because he'd been sold this idea that they were going to back him to the hilt, and the plan was get in the Champions League and stuff like that. He said it himself many times, I want to be there. So now, where's the advisors to Mashiri and to Usmanov going, see this football club, see this fan base, they're hating from Carlo Ancelotti leaving. This fella, we keep seeing polls where 70-80% of fans don't want him. So therefore, you're already putting it on his toes, you're putting him under pressure, and you're turning fans away from the club. No, but
I'm agreeing with you.
Right. So therefore, really, you have to start looking in other areas. Then going, how can we flip the fans back around and get them enthused and excited so that we can move forward as a club?
And it's not a fan base you can mess with, are there?
I don't know. I don't think
it's not a fan base you can mess with in terms of there aren't people to fill the seats if you lose somebody. And what I mean by that, yes, okay, there can be waiting lists and all that, but there aren't the day trippers. If you lose a fan, not only do you lose them from the ground, but potentially you lose them from buying everything that goes with it, the kits and everything else. You're alienating them from what they love. And there'll be nobody to fill their space. They genuinely won't. There's not going to be the day tripper who's waited all his life to come to Everton, because you're alienating them as well, because you have to be a certain breed to be an Evertonian. You're all in. No one's an Evertonian who's not all in.
No one's an Evertonian who's a glory hunter.
That's what I'm saying. You're all in. So you don't have these fans. They're not superficial fans. They're not like, you know, these people you see with Liverpool, where it's like, well, if you buy a couple of players this summer, we'll forget about the Super League nonsense. You're all in. You're gonna hurt. So if you start to lose people, never's a long time, but you may not get them back. And you know, that's really difficult.
Toffee Girl says spot on, Ped. Glenn Watson says it's Mashiri, the Jerry Jones of the Premier League.
Cowboys built a nice stadium. I mean, it's $100 to park there, but
Paul McGovern says, we're sitting here doom and gloom. It's nonsense. We need stability. Be honest, would you take Rafa if he didn't have the Liverpool links? I want to see attacking football, is what I want to see. A good manager who plays attacking football. He's a good manager for other stuff he's done. But I'm not I don't know. Loyal Toffee says, appoint Duncan Ferguson. This is an easy decision. We need a true blue. We keep looking at different superstar managers. They come and they go. Easy decision. I mean, this is the thing with Duncan, isn't it? Is that in some respects, right? A lot of people are looking for a passionate, hungry, loyal manager youngish coach who's all in at Everton, who isn't looking to jump ship the first opportunity that he gets, which is Duncan Ferguson. Yeah, you know, the club keep Duncan around because they know that if it goes to shit, he's there to bail them out. He stepped up to the plate last time and steadied it until Ancelotti came in. We've tried a lot of different things that haven't worked. So it is a little bit mad that there's a fella sat there who okay, there might be a percentage of the fan base that don't want him. And a lot of what I see from people who say not Dunk is it isn't even not Dunk because I've seen people go, it's not even Dunk because I don't think he can do the job. I just know if it goes wrong, he'll have to be sacked, and that hurts me. So there's a lot of affection for Duncan Ferguson, and he will be one of our own on the touchline, and you'd have to have people round him who could help him as well. And would that be a better thing than Rafa Benitez? I think for a lot of fans, would get right behind it.
That's for me, that's what sort of proves that it is about just stability. It is about just having someone who will just steer us through the next 3 years. That to me says we don't want any risk whatsoever involved in this. And if that's the case, then maybe it's time Dunk went away and did a year or two somewhere else.
Well, maybe
in time to be the next one.
Yes, to be the next. Be back in 18 months, just a manager. Adam Brooks says Arteta never managed any experience before he went to Arsenal. Duke UK says we all want a Carlo, and look how that turned out. Where are we? Paul McGovern says, yeah, but what if Dunk balls it up in 6 months? Yeah, but we've had other managers who've balls it up, haven't we?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's no, just because you get a manager that you think is a sure thing, no manager's a sure thing, are they? No. People have said that's rather be 12th with Dunk than 10th or 9th with Rafa. LNCCND7 says I'd be 100% behind Duncan. Ingy says appoint Dunk as an interim manager and keep looking. We need stability, not more Hollywood managers. Yeah, I mean, Bobski says, I'd be happy with Dunk, but does he feel ready yet? Well, we don't know, do we? We don't know because, obviously, we haven't heard any official quotes from Duncan saying he won it. Liam Floyd says the Chelsea game is a big memory moment. Goodison bouncing, he is Everton. Yeah, and I've seen this as well. A lot of people saying, I think we need to get players out for Duncan's given it because it's a big job and you don't want him to have to work with these players. But the other side of that is he knows these players. He knows who should stay and who should go, doesn't he? So, I don't know. Liam says Dunk running and grabbing ball boys brought the life back into the club. And that's the thing, isn't it? I think just before we go, I think you just hit the nail on the head then, and it does feel like a lot of the soul has left the club at the moment. And we have to somehow get that back, and I don't know how we do it. No. Other than,
I think it comes back probably with pride, doesn't it?
Other than results as well.
You have to have pride in your football club and the team. I think that's how it starts coming back. But it's difficult because we haven't been in the ground. It's hard, isn't it? It's emotion. It's emotion that's generated when 30,000 people are in sort of on the same wavelength. I think that's what creates it. You've seen it. Once you know, you know, we've witnessed it with Liverpool in the last few years, you know, being... It's funny enough, it does actually start with the manager. It starts with the manager uniting the fans behind them. You know, we've witnessed that with the other crowd over... You know, we've witnessed it with the likes of Pep Guardiola. If you've got a good manager, he unites. Seen it with Moyes. We used to always sing Moyes' name. We weren't singing the players' names as such. Yeah, we were singing Moyes. We were behind Moyes. You know, a lot of people were like, you know, make Moyes the highest paid person in Everton. Forget about the players. He's the most important person. We got behind the manager. We got behind his decisions. And I think I suppose that's the irony of the whole situation. Is if you want a united club, it comes from the manager, and you're about to appoint a manager that fans don't like. Very, very strange times. Very, very strange times. But if it happens, it happens, and we'll find out the reason. But if it happens, it happens. Tomorrow might hold a different set of circumstances. I still think it'll be Roberto Martinez, but there you go. And we'll have to deal with that. Not really messing. There you go. There you go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us in this therapy session. Leaving your comments, leaving your likes. The latest odds are there. Rafa Benitez 1-3. Nuno Santo Espirito 9-2. Paulo Fonseca 12-1. Graham Potter 14-1. Roberto Martinez 14-1. So there you go. There, the latest odds. Yeah, we'll be back at 5 o'clock to do our Patreon live show. Sorry to all our patrons. All your comments, we'll read them out in that show as well.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Footy Show channel if you just want to have a chat about general footy. I think we might be jumping on there in about half an hour.
Keep checking your Toffee picks as well. Keep checking daily. They're having daily games at the moment. There's a free one and there's a paid one for a bit more opportunity to win a bit more money as well. So check that out. Give this video a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. As I said, join us over on Patreon. The link is in the description and it'll be on the screen. See you later.